All the hands they transmit, I wish my praying hands could cover up every cough. I wish we had a playlist that is passed to everyone. Choose one that speaks to your pit, and we each add a song. I wish away our new reality. I wish away the habits you're battling that prevent the inhabitants to stay at home happily. I wish.
Okay, what's bragging, beautiful people? It's your boy Caesar, aka Mr. Good Life. On the set today we have Mr. Picasso and my boy SASHA, the co-host. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Peace. The first question is your name Mr. Good Bar, Mr. Good Life? What is it?
It's Mr. Good Life, but my name is Caesar. That's my goal.
Good Life. Yeah, that's a hell of a name. That is a name. I like that, Mr. Good Life. Like, so when you're Mr. Good Life, do you ever have a bad day?
They call me the king of positive thinking because I don't think I have a bad day. I have a bad moment. I don't consider myself having a bad day. Most of my time, I just remain in gratitude. You know, I think I've trained myself.
Love that. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Now go. I'm sorry. Sheesh. You know, I'm from the Bronx. You know, birth of hip hop, right there. Like I grew up in the '80s, so I walked outside and I would see people breakdancing, doing graffiti, rapping on the corner. Like it was all right there. Like, and it was new. It wasn't like there was no internet. If you weren't there, you didn't hear it. So, like seeing that and feeling that energy and constantly being surrounded by it, and New York is such a multi-ethnic city. You know, everybody is fighting to be heard. So when you fight to be heard, you got to find, you try on different forms of expressions, like you try on different hats, or for Caesar, different bags. You feel me? So, you know, I used to break dance. I did graffiti. I never was a DJ, but I used to try to rap. But the problem was I couldn't stay on beat. So, so I was always right. You know what I'm saying? So I was right for my friends. And then whenever something happened at home, you know, it was also kind of violent back then. So whenever somebody, you know, there was a fight or something bad happened, I would write about it. And then I joined the military, and again, you're dealing with basic training, and you're going through these changes. I would write about it, and then everybody in basic training would come to my bunk at night and be like, let me hear it. And then I finally got to my first duty station in Hampton, Virginia, in the United States. And I was dating this girl that went to a historically Black college called Hampton University. And she's the one that like checked me, because she was like had me freestyle for her. And she was like, dude, why are you always trying to sound like you're a gangster Air Force? Like, you're not a gangster. You have a top secret security clearance. So what she did, she started giving me topics to write about. So she would things like write about addiction, write about empathy. So she would start giving me topics, and then she started teaching me through what she was learning at school about like the Harlem Renaissance and other different cultural references that I, unbeknownst, was becoming a part of. And if you remember, Def Poetry was popping on HBO, and my sister put me onto that. So I decided to stop trying to keep a cadence like a rapper and just be freely expressive as a poet. I think you have a lot more wiggle room there. We gotta, like, so again, like New York is a very competitive place. So just because you're not on stage, a formal stage, doesn't mean everybody's not looking at you. So when I'm breakdancing and I'm battling at different clubs throughout the city, you know, there's a crowd of 300 people around you. When you're in a freestyle on the block, there's like 20, 30 people around you. And then my mother, you put me in a boys and girls club that did acting. So I was always on stage performing. So by the time I had to get up on stage to perform poetry, I was like, yo, these are my words. This is easier. My goal right now is me and my wife, we started a nonprofit organization called Manifest Destiny. And through that, we're bringing art programs to inner cities and underserved communities. So, like all the different hoods out here, they don't have art programming, they don't have music programming, and they don't have the kind of structures that a lot of the more affluent communities have. So we bring our programs there. My program is called Poetry to the People. So I teach kids about self narratives, identity narratives. And what identity narratives are, it's the story you tell yourself about yourself.
Dang.
So similar to what Caesar was saying, um, you know, he walks in a place of gratitude all the time. Now he has to walk in a place of gratitude because he tells himself the story of how much he loves himself, how grateful he is, how just because something didn't go your way, you have the resilience to overcome it. And that's one that's super mature, and salute to you. That's a wise trait that I wish most people had. But
Mm.
through that, that's a good example of an identity narrative. You tell yourself the story of who you're going to be, and you're going to be a person that walks in gratitude. A lot of times, kids don't understand why they love themselves. They don't know what it is that they love about themselves. And through poetry, it allows you to, one, take your thoughts and put them out clearly.
Mm, mm,
And then
mm.
two, I'm sorry about that. I got a phone call coming. And then, uh-huh. And then two, when you are able to have those kind of conversations with yourself and share those intimate moments, it helps you overcome them. It holds you accountable. So when you write poetry, you see like, oh wow, I see a theme coming here, and now you get to overcome that pattern. So poetry for me is that expressive, and I just want to keep walking in my purpose. And I believe that any success will be a byproduct of that purpose. Um, Again, walking your purpose. I think you guys are doing a great job. You guys were willing to reach out. You guys were willing to develop communications and relationships. Everything really uh, comes out of relationships in life. So as long as you're moving sincerely in your heart, everything else is going to come as a byproduct of it. And don't be afraid. Take the chances. Fail. Can I curse on here?
Sorry? Yeah.
You're not. I'm, I, I won't do it. Don't be afraid to mess up. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? Like, I think the best lessons you'll ever get in life are from your mistakes.
Mm, mm.
So, there's been times where I've been in front of a stage and there's been like 1,000 people looking at me, and I forgot the words to a poem. Like every second feels like 100 years, and you're like, oh no, this is the end of the world, but it ain't.
So what strategy?
Yeah, I'm like, see, and then another good thing about it is they don't know you messed up until you let them know. I don't care if I said 30 seconds of a poem. If I forget the other 2 minutes and 30 seconds, well, guess what? You just got a 30-second poem. You're welcome. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna sit here and try to or I could go into something else. Like you just gotta be nimble. Like
Mm,
never drop the ball. And when you do, you know, if you drop the ball, start playing soccer.
mm. True, true.
See,
Totally
see,
true.
that just happened. That just happened. I'm a poet. I do this. Uh nah, I'm like this. Success isn't a destination, success is a path.
Mm,
So assuming you made it means you have nothing left to do. That's far from it. I still got stages I want to perform on. I got people I want to perform for. I got acts of service that I want to give to my community. As long as there's a child out here in this world that is looking to express themselves and is having trouble finding the words or how to structure it, then my job isn't done. So I'm just gonna keep walking on this path, and based on being a happy person and a person that is filled with gratitude, I think by the laws of nature and the universe, our people will gravitate to me, and we can share in the journey together.
mm. Beautiful.
You mean this book right here? Oh. My book is called "A Son with No Father Is a Book with No Author," and it came very casually. Like I used to live in Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with like The Wire and other shows that depict Baltimore, but it's a very hard city. That being said, I was at the barbershop, and while I was sitting there waiting to get my hair cut, I watched my barber give advice to 6 young men, 6 little boys, because their fathers were not a part of their life. And it wasn't, most of the times it was because of jail and murder, and they got killed. So just seeing that, I came up with a line that says, "A son with no father is a book with no author. A main character that's been developed by his peers and his barber." And in America, the barbershop is such a cultural institution of manhood. And I feel bad for little boys that got to get brought in by their mothers,
Mm,
because out on central to the experience of America. So it started off just a line, then it became its own poem. And then after raising my children, my son and my daughter, I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna create a book and give a contribution to this literary world, it should be based on something that I love. And there's nothing that I love more than my children.
mm,
So I figured that line itself, "A son with no father is a book with no author," one is a metaphor, because the whole book is sharing experiences between my son and I.
mm.
So you get to see while you're reading the book that I'm writing in him.
Wow.
So I thought that was a good little play on words. And then two, I said earlier, it's about acts of service. So a son that doesn't have a dad may want to question what kind of advice a dad would give him. And through reading this book, I touch on different situations that me and my son already dealt with. And you can see not just the experience, but also the logic and advice that I gave him. And then you also get like the behind the scenes, because I'll tell you, like, okay, I wasn't ready to have this particular conversation, but I think I did well in the way that I explained it based on his response. Then there's other times in which I definitely think I mishandled the situation and I wish I did it differently, and this is why. And I think when you frame it like that, that gives people an understanding that men are humans. We have this perception that men are supposed to be stoic characters fresh out of a book or a stereotype. don't have feelings, that don't have logic, that we're just brutes. And I didn't want to ever, I wanted to humanize us so that way they could see that we are sensitive, we are empathetic, and we care. And sometimes in that caring, we play our hands wrong. So, you know, and then there's poetry in the book too. So, you know, for people that like that appreciate that level of art, they could say, okay, he might have said it this way. Sometimes a punchline or a prose or an idiom hits better than just saying it plainly. You know, you could take a paragraph's worth of wisdom and
Yeah.
condense it to a punchline, i.e., A Son with No Father is a Book with No Author, and like, you know, it's a gut punch.
Mm.
So, I wanted to be of service. So the book is more than just a book. It's a book. I have a workbook that you get with it. So that way, while you're sitting with your parents and you're reading the book, or if a single mother wants to read the book and relate to her, to how her baby's father would have handled the situation, she could see it in the book. Another father could read the book and get, it's almost like talking to one of your boys. So, you know what I mean? Those kind of experiences and perceptions about the book help. So pardon me, I said that we also have a workbook for parents to read together with their children. And based on, it's based on the book, but it has questions for you to ask your child and your child to ask you. So that way you're not prying. It's more like a game. So that way, you know what I mean? Like, because we got to be more than titles. To my children, I can't just be dad, because dad comes with expectations and dad could beat everybody up. Dad knows the answer to everything. Dad could fix it all. Mario can't.
Mm.
So when they start asking me about, you know, who was my first crush and what happened, do I remember the first time I got my heart broke? Have I ever been bullied? You know, do I have friends that are gay? You know what I mean? Like, how do I view race relations? Has somebody ever discriminated against me? When I start telling them these stories, that's when it becomes less about, oh, I'm with dad, and they get to see who Mario is. And once they get familiar with Mario, they get to realize, like, hey, he's still writing his book. It's not over because he had me.
True. True. That's good, man. Um, yeah, just a quick question on this side. For the viewers who want to get the book, like, how do they get the book? Where do they get the book?
You can
Um,
order online at www.papi, P-A-P-I, Picasso, Picasso, poetry.com. Or you can just follow me on IG. I got the link for it in my bio. That's I am Papipicasso. That's my stage name.
Beautiful, man. Because I also want to get myself a copy.
Puerto Rican and then Picasso because poetry is my art. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, it's a nickname that I did not give myself. I've been in Atlanta, Georgia for 7 years. When I moved out here, I was bald. I cut all my hair off. And then when I started living out here, I started fasting. I gave up alcohol. I gave up smoking. I started living a more healthy lifestyle. And I started growing my hair as a part of that. And now my hair is down to here.
Whoa.
Yeah. Keeps me motivated. Um, just I believe you can always refine what you do. And like life is let me say, life is fun. It's popping when you recognize, like, when you walk in gratitude. So what keeps me going is enjoying the ride. Like, you're not gonna get to do this again. It's over soon.
Mm.
There is an expiration date on all of us. And I know at 13, I mean, at 16 and 23, it's kind of hard to see life that way. But, it's real. So when you look at it that way, it's like, you know what? If I have an idea, why don't you do it? You might not get it right. You might not get it right when you do it at 16, but at 18, you might. You
Mm.
might not at 18, but at 25, you while you're doing that, you might stumble onto something that fulfills your heart, that makes that reinvigorates your passion. For instance, I was a single father for 13 years. And then I met my fiance. She sparked something in me that I said, you know what, I could do this again.
Mm.
Experiences and people, like even y'all, like y'all are giving me new life because y'all are young. I see the idealism in your eyes. Y'all don't have, as you get older, a lot of times people get jaded and
Eh,
and what by that, they're like, life starts to beat them down and then they don't want to, they become cynical in which they only see the negative in things. And, oh, you can't do that. Why not?
why not? Why
They
not?
say you're young, you have all the ideas and none of the resources. And then when you get old, you have all the resources and no imagination. Exactly. So use your imagination while you have success to me is being my age, and I'm 42 years old, with imagination, with idealism, still happy and excited, and not looking 42 neither. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I mean.
Very young. You look very young. I thought you were like 28 or something, like 28 to 30 or something.
Yeah, you gotta drink your water, baby. Yeah, you go through back like again, life happens, bro, and you get depressed and you're not ready, and uh, all of these things, all of these societal pressures and obligations start weighing on your back, and that's when you have to do a purge. You have to let all of it go, and whenever that happens, it hasn't happened in a while. I think I've learned enough through my experiences where, like, I'll give you an example on how poetry helped save me. I was going through a divorce. My sister just passed away. I lost my job. They took my security clearance. You got all of these things happening that affected me financially and health wise. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't looking nor feeling good. And my kids left. I had them one weekend. The kids left, and they're still young, real young at this time. And it was like a really fun weekend. I had amazing time. When they leave, I'm cleaning up the mess, and I come across a poem that I wrote. And the poem I wrote when I was in a much darker place. And while I'm reading this poem, I recognized that my mood was changing with every word I read. I went from being really happy to getting pissed off and depressed again. And I said, you know what? My words are more powerful than I give credit for. My words are not just powerful to other people that hear it, it's powerful to myself because it's affecting me, how I choose to write. So, what I decided to do is never write a pity poem again. I'll take the experience and I'll couple it with uh, a lesson that I extracted from it. And then you have an arc of optimism and idealism in it. So when you approach it like that, now everything becomes an allegory in which you're learning from this experience. And I've taken some dark moments recently, converted it into a poem in which I'm addressing it instead of just complaining about it. And now I see it help other people. So now I realize that there's a lesson in everything, and it's no longer on me to try to hoard and be selfish with that. I got to share that. So now this dark moment has become a moment of light and beacon for somebody else because in their mind, they're the only person that's going through that. they're the only persons dealing with depression. They don't understand how to let go of the past. You know what I mean? Like, they look at therapy as if that's submitting to something that it's not recognizing. It's just like a tool that you would use. It's transference. It's putting the energy that you have in one thing and putting it somewhere else. So when I get mad now, if I don't want to put nothing on paper, I'll go to the gym. I'll get on my bike. You know what I mean? I might go and perform and just leave it on stage, so you're going to get the work. You know what I mean? Like, one way or another, you're going to get this work. Be a thermostat, not a thermometer. So, have you ever heard the term, I'm a product of my environment? That is essentially saying I'm not responsible for the situation I'm in, but I don't want to be accountable either because I'm not responsible for it. And I think the true virtue of an adult and somebody that's walking a more enlightened path is recognizing that accountability is the name of the game. If you could be accountable to something you're not responsible for, you no longer are a slave to it. So a thermostat, a thermometer can only tell you the temperature of the environment you're in. A thermostat controls it. So instead of saying I'm a product of my environment, nah, I'm an agent of change. I change my environment. I make my environment suit me and the values and principles by which I live. Every neighborhood I move into, if it was a hood, now it's a neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, I'll throw a cookout in the backyard and bring the young boys out and have, like, hey, eat, talk, what's up? What do y'all, when they come home with their report cards, they knock on my door. If they did good, I give them a $5 bill. If they did bad, I might give them a single or a lecture. I'll show them what being a computer engineer looks like because I've been doing it for 25 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's Alexa, stop. See, Big Brother always listening. I'm dropping jewels, and Big Brother want to hate. And so that's my thing. Like, I'll never. I remember that feeling of hopelessness. Of, I'm in this neighborhood, and we got issues with this block, and now I have to do something that I don't want to do. I remember being in the military and feeling like I didn't have control over the direction of my life. I remember being in a relationship and feeling like I was losing myself. Nah, those are byproducts of thermometers, the thermostat. If the relationship isn't serving me, I'm going to change the dynamics of the relationship so that way everybody feels good here. Mm-hmm. I actually just wrote my first play, and I'm working on bringing it to fruition. It's called The Redefinition of Manhood, and it tracks two young boys. One has a father, one doesn't, and one would assume the one with the father has a better chance at life. However, the father he has may not have been the best. So it ends up being just how they both go through their respective hardships, and then it culminates with them celebrating their manhood later on. I can't get out too much. I gotta leave a little bit up to the. So I'm working on that profit organization. What else? And I'm starting to do a lot more corporate gigs. which is interesting because I like going directly to my people.
Yeah.
However, I realize that my people aren't just in the streets; they're also in office buildings and
Mm.
corporations, and they don't get spoken to enough or spoken life into enough. A lot of times, um, people assume that they are removed from the struggle. And when you've been able to make certain accomplishments and forward progress in your life, you got to be able to communicate both ways.
Mm.
Uh, well, my mental state was I was fresh off the streets of the Bronx, so my mental state was a little volatile. I don't think I had the best service. I wasn't the best troop, but I every place I went was never the same when I left. They were forced to understand that there's uh, brilliance in the hood. You know, they look at it as cold, and I showed them that there's diamonds. And it was like pre 9/11 and post 9/11, so it happened while I was enlisted. So that craziness and that attack changed the tenor of my enlistment. It went from kind of like feeling like a job to now we're at war, and that wasn't cool. It gave me a lot of information on like my career. I'm still in technology now. They taught me about computers and everything I needed to know about them back in 1999. So it's been kind of like really like wow, it's happening when the drones that I supported back in 1999 are now commercially available and people have them on their phones and can control them there. Um, and just watching like cryptocurrency and everything else happen in the cloud, it's been interesting to watch. So I look at it from a different perspective and a different angle. And I made some lifelong brothers and sisters in there.
Yeah, you can just ask the last question and then we can wrap it up. Yeah.
How do I feel they could overcome depression? You have to you have to accept it for what it is.
Mm.
Acceptance is the very first part. And
Mm.
then you have to find you have to find something that gives you a little bit of spark
Mm.
and then fan that fire.
Mm. Mm.
For me, it's expressing myself and reinvesting. It's transference. It's all of these things that we discussed already. Um, you know, like my brothers, what up? Here to
Mm.
fill up your. I just
Mm.
hope it's just enough to fill mine. Now, this ain't rocket science, Bill 9, but every time I ask you how you feeling, you say I feel fine, designing your reply just to try to kill time. So
Mm.
avoid your secret to mask your hurt. Well, I'm glad you brought your cup to fill up, so allow me to fill mine. It took 42 years to realize that ego was the enemy, but the
Eish.
environment that raised me required that type of energy. And little
Mm.
by little, it starts to corrupt you mentally to the point you seek distraction in liquor, women, and weed, thinking that
Eish.
will bring serenity, long-term effects of having a short-term memory. I know it happens. No caption. You understand what I'm saying? Like we think that drinking, smoking is gonna get us is healing. It's a distraction. Drinking a distraction. Women a distraction. Even getting money sometimes is a distraction. It's a good distraction because it helps out later, but these things are not solutions. The only solution that there is reinvesting in yourself, identifying it and seeking help. Sometimes it may be in your grandmother. Sometimes you got to go to a formal psychologist. To tell you which route to take is just for me to encourage you to seek that.
Deep.
I just want to say thank you guys. Let me say this. I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of my brothers that could look across the Atlantic Ocean, see somebody, and recognize that there's kinship there. Recognize there's value, and we are all one of the same tribe. Recognize that we all have value. And sharing that and building with each other may be one of the most fulfilling. Like, I literally have a corporate event tonight. I'm positive this is already going to be the highlight of my day. To look in the eyes of such young, beautiful men that are coming of age and they're looking to, take on the world for the powers of good. Just continue to use your superpowers for good and not evil, and we be cool. Because if not, I'm going to come kick your ass.
Our goal is just to bridge, the bridge to America and Africa, but mostly just to unite all the nations together, just to empower the youth and to actually show the young people that, you know what, you have something within you. You can share something. You can become something, coming from nothing to something. We all got genius within us. So it's about just using the time that you have. That's what we have, time. And that's what
real key, that we all have genius within us. And are you guys familiar with chakras and like y'all got a glow around you, so I can see the genius emanating.
Appreciate it. We thank you so much. We're grateful, and from behalf of all the team from the Young Hustle Podcast, we just want to thank you. And we're looking forward for the event that we're setting up in the next 3 years coming, and to all the other upcoming interviews as well. So we thank you. Like, we truly we watch you every day. We watch you every day, and we're looking up, like, people get the book. I'm also going to order myself a book from Mr. Picasso. Everybody should get the book. I'll get the book, and I'll be talking about the book because I think people should be reading. Leaders are readers, and if you're not reading from a great book, you are actually missing out. It's all about the feeling, searching for the feeling, and if you can get that feeling right now, I assure you, you have it all. So we want to just thank you so much. Okay, appreciate it. Yeah, from the Young Hustle guys, SASHA, Picasso, we thank you so much, guys. We are. Yes.